John, thanks for doing this. So I have three questions. One, just a quick follow-up to Courtney and Jeff's question. These forces would be in addition to the 8,500, so potentially more than 8,500 US troops would be dedicated to this. Second, can you give us a sense of if the 8,500 are sent, what they would be doing? We understand that they come from logistics and aviation and medical support, but if the NATO response force is not going into Ukraine, what would the 8,500 be doing to support the NATO response force? And then last question, Syria, can you give us an update on the prison outbreak and any sort of DoD estimates on how many ISIS fighters escaped? And would that necessitate potentially more US troops to go in to round those ISIS fighters up? Thanks, I know that's a lot.
Okay, there's a lot there. I don't have an update for you on how many prisoners escaped versus how many were recaptured by the SDF. I mean, I think I'd point you to Inherent Resolve for more details about that operation. Again, our support was fairly limited, so I just don't have that kind of level of detail. On the 8,500, I think, again, all we've done here with this 8,500 is put them on prepare to deploy, and in some cases shorten their tether from like 10 days to 5 days. They haven't been given deployment orders. They represent a significant chunk of our contribution to the NATO response force. We are keeping all options open to provide the president decision space, and so if you're asking me, could the number of forces put on PTDO or advanced PTDO increase? The answer to that is yes, it could happen. And when and how we're able to speak to that, that we will. There could also be, as I mentioned earlier, the movement of U.S. forces that are already in Europe to Eastern Flank allies at their request and at their invitation, that would not require the Secretary to necessarily put them on a shorter alertness posture, maybe, depending on who they are and where they're coming from, but not necessarily. So if the question is, could troops being put on a shorter tether go upwards of 8,500? Yeah, the answer is yes, but I don't have anything specific to speak to about that today. What we want to do is make sure that we are providing options to the president and to our allies in case those options are needed to reinforce our commitment to the alliance. And then you asked me, what will they be doing if the NRF is activated? I think it was the question. And as I said when we announced them, there's a range of capabilities that they represent: aviation, medical, logistics. Certainly, combat ground forces are included in that list. And we didn't go into every little detail of every little unit, but we did identify the major units that we were talking about and where they'd be coming from. They provide a whole host of military capabilities to the NRF, but that's their focus is the NRF. And I won't speculate about if the NRF gets activated or if it doesn't. That's up to NATO to decide. And if it doesn't get activated, could some of these troops be used in a bilateral way to bolster allies? Again, all those are interesting academic exercises, but we're just not at that stage right now in order to be able to engage it. Paul Shinkman.